So I often say, ignore everything you hear in the media headlines about property prices. And one of the most important things, particularly for first-time buyers, is that you need to become your own property guru. If I can do it, it's really not that difficult. So I thought I'd show you how. First place I start is a website called Propcast. And what this does is tell you exactly what's happening in your individual postcode that you're actually looking to buy in. The reason that's important is, for example, in 2021, Liverpool was the top town. It was doing brilliantly, and house prices were going through the roof, better than anywhere else. But when you look at Propcast, some of the Liverpool postcodes were actually the worst performers in the country. Now, for those of you buying in London, you'll always think, oh, prices only go in one direction, they only go up. But have a little look about what's happening in the E1 postcodes. You put your postcode in here, click what the find out what's happening, and it'll show you that actually it's a pretty rubbish area at this moment in time. And what's more important is, as you scroll down, look at this London picture. So remember, the headlines are all telling you, oh, house prices have gone crazy, we might be in a bubble, everything might be about to crash. Well, in actual fact, prices are going up, down and staying the same all across London. And the most important thing that you do when you want to start is don't go looking for properties. Try and really understand what's happening in your local property market, and this is a great tool to use. Now, the next thing I do then, when I've got a little bit of an idea, is I'll go onto Rightmove, and I'm just doing some cribbing here so that I get the right information. So let's pop on to Rightmove. You can use any of the portals. And the thing I like in here is I don't, again, look for houses for sale, because that's a really bad place to start. You want to become a property guru, you've got to understand what's been happening in the market. So I go to house prices, and I want to go and look to see what's been happening to sales prices over the last few years. This is going to be a serious surprise for you. So let's go in here, let's go and have a look at this postcode. This is around the kind of Barking Dagenham area. And in previous things, I've been saying, do you know what? Some people are buying properties today in this heated market that you've been hearing about, that actually they've been buying them for less than other people have been doing some years ago. So look at this. You've got, this one's had a little tiny increase, if you think about it, over the years that they bought. But have a look at some of these other ones. This series of roads, they've actually fallen in price. They were a new build back in 2018. Somebody's just sold a few years later for less. And I think we've got the same with the next one. So what this does is just give you a little bit of an idea of what house prices are like today, or just sold for, versus what they were a few years ago. So you know that actually this place is pretty good value to buy at this moment in time. Now, it's only now that I'll start having a little look to see what the current market is like. What you do is you go, this is when you can start looking for properties that you want to buy. So let's pop in the postcode that we did earlier, but we'll do a little bit of a wider patch. And this gives you a much better idea of what's happening to property prices now, and how busy the market is. One of the reasons that's important is you would not believe how quickly a market can turn. So last month it could have been fantastic and rising, but something could happen this weekend. For example, buyers don't like it when people go to war. So if, for example, Russia decided to invade the Ukraine, that might spook people. And as a result of that, by next week, you might see that demand has fallen dramatically, and now's a good time to get in and buy. So really important to put in your price range. So let's say, be as flexible as you can, because you can always negotiate. And really, this is one of the most important boxes to tick. It says include under offer, and this is what gives you a really good idea of what's happening to the market at this moment in time. So you go in and have a little look at properties. Now, I happen to know that down here there are probably about 23 properties for sale on this sheet that we've got on Rightmove. And the way that you do it is dead simple. You basically just go down and you have a little look to see how many have actually sold, which is why it's really important to tick that box. Now, as you go down, I happen to know, because we did a little bit of this earlier on, that about 14 out of 23 properties on this page have actually sold. That means around 60% of properties for sale have already sold, and that means it's moved from a cold market. You see people buying properties for less than they were a few years ago, and it's actually heading towards being a hotter market now, because at 60% sold, that's pretty big. If you do this analysis and it comes out that only 20% have sold, then that means it's a cold market. You've got more time to go and look for properties, and you can definitely bag a bargain. So those are kind of few ways. That's the first thing we do when we're helping somebody, is really try and understand what's happening in the market, but particularly for the type of property and the price bracket they're looking at. Interestingly, if I was looking in the £1 million bracket, the opposite could be happening. This could be a really cold market. So it is all about your individual purchase in the individual postcode that you're looking at. Once you're armed with this data and you know exactly what's going on, then it's time to go out and talk to the agents and say, you see, it's been quite a cold market, but it seems to be moving to a hotter market. Ask the agent if that's about right, and you'll start getting a bit more of an idea that maybe the market's turned cold again. Maybe it's got even hotter and you've really got to be quick to buy a property. So I hope that's helpful, but do remember, it's not difficult to be a property guru, and always make sure you understand the market for the property that you want to buy and ignore all of those frightening media headlines.